finale. F1000, I'm Chaps. That's Mike. How you doing today, Mike?
A little bittersweet, right? Last race of the season. I got to be honest. My biggest concern is that we're in the black. We're in the positive right now. Let's keep it there. Right? We got to win some money. We've had a couple of tough weekends the last 2 weekends. So
Yeah.
let's see what we can do in Abu Dhabi.
Everyone, it seems like Max, I mean, he's won the title. He feels like he's kind of limping to the end. Lewis is limping, just ready to get the red coat on. I don't want to be limping to the end. It feels like the past couple of weeks we're a little limping. We got to finish strong, Mike. Let's finish strong. Let's finish in the black.
Yeah, I agree. I think, okay, so you were saying that you had made some bets this week and you were winning. I think you're the hot corner right now. What do you want to start us with? Do you have a direction you want to take us in? Do you want to talk first about Yas Marina, the track, and then we can get into a pick?
Yeah, great point. Yas Marina, I mean, it's a wonderful mix of corner types. There's some high-speed corners. You get the low-speed chicane in the Marina section. You've got a really long straight. There's a couple of overtaking opportunities. I mean, I always think back to 2021 where Max seemed to invent some overtaking opportunities before we thought he could even get it done. I'd like to start today, Mike. A lot of my focus when I'm looking through the book is around the top 6 finishing positions. Okay. And I'm curious if you have a read between the Haas of Hulkenberg, the Alpine of Gasly, the Sauber of Bottas, and potentially we need to throw Checo into that conversation. For a top, They all have really good odds to finish in the top 6. Now, there's also a conversation between the Alpine and the Haas just as a team matchup. Yeah. I'm very curious. I happen to think that between the Alpine and the Haas specifically, track position is king. I think their pace is very similar. I think Hulkenberg, if he held on to his P4 position, probably finishes ahead of Gasly and probably in the top 6. Now, they've swapped positions, so does Gasly just get all of that benefit? Do you have an opinion? Do you have a gut between those two?
Not from a top 6 perspective. I had written down that Haas versus Alpine bet at minus 138.
So you like the Haas side?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't quite commit to Alpine finishing ahead of Haas in this race only because, I do think, again, Magnussen is obviously he's out of position down in P15, but that's not the bet here. That's more so you get a second bullet in the chamber, which is good. But like with Hulkenberg, with it being his last race with Haas, the way that he looked over the course of Friday and Saturday with the pace in the car, I mean, it's not track position is important, but it's not like it's the only way that you're going to maintain your track position for the entirety of the race. Hulkenberg starts right behind him.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I've got our pal Albert Fabrega. He's so good at tweeting out everything that you need to know. So this is the provisional grid because the sportsbook doesn't update it. So Hulkenberg's 7th, Gasly's 5th now.
Right.
Without the penalty, I loved Hulkenberg to hold on for all the things you're saying.
I don't
if
even
Gasly's
know.
engine doesn't blow up, I think he just holds the position.
You do, yeah. Okay, that's all right. If you're immediate, this is a minus money shorter bet for a guy starting behind. So I'm completely fine with. I mean, obviously the book thinks that Haas maybe sometimes it doesn't adjust because it's got Nico starting P4. You know what I mean? I don't know if necessarily that's the case, or the public could literally just think that he has the pace in the car to be able to finish ahead of Gasly, which is also probably not. It's not a crazy take. I mean, I think the Haas has the best race pace in the midfield. So.
The Haas has pace. It's looked good all weekend, and they've been so forward in their interviews about, hey, this isn't the old Haas where we're just going to crank it up for qualifying. We have a race car. We've shown that during the season.
They haven't been unbalanced too. Like we've never seen, like you said, evidence of them qualifying well at a pace that like vastly outperforms their race pace overall in the end. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote it down minus 138.
But you were on the Haas side. I wrote it on the Alpine side.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe we just
you like the plus
gears.
money. Okay. Yeah, let's move away from it then. we just don't see it the same way.
Well, and I see, guys, one criticism of your vlog is it's too tight to the coverage. We agree completely. In the off season, we're gonna redo our whole schedule. We do have a bit of a tight timeline. So if we didn't write it down the same way, maybe we just move on from it.
Yeah,
because we're tight.
Agree. Yep.
Okay, I have an interesting one, Mike.
Okay.
It's longer than maybe we would be looking for, though. It's right at the edge of our window. Sauber versus Williams.
So I'm hoping you're on Bottas' side on that.
I'm on Bottas' side. I think
Bottas, I like. We should.
There's a few ways to look at Bottas here. The longest, shortest and safest would be Bottas versus the Williams. He starts 9th. You've got Albon in 18th and Colapinto's last in 20th. And you have Zhou also ahead of both Williams.
Yeah, and I think at this point we've seen that the Sauber's been upgraded way too late in the season, but it does have the potential to be, in the fight in the midfield. I think that, Bottas in his last possibly ever F1 race is really gunning to get points in it. Mm-hmm. The guy gets it into Q3, gets it to start P9. I think that they just have more pace in the car than the Williams does. So grid position plus, maybe even equal race pace. Like, I'm going to take that bet. Plus we have 2 guys starting ahead of 2 guys, right?
Bottas played the team game big time for Zhou to get points last weekend. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a bit of a reverse of that this week. Not that I don't expect him to need it. He's got so many positions ahead. But if it comes to a point where Zhou can get in the way, that's huge to have that.
Okay. I think that this should be on our card. Like, I just like the fact that it didn't. It was sitting at, I think it opened at -200. It hasn't moved off that line. Again, we're 2 guys who could use a win here and there. So I like having that on the card because I think it's a logical bet.
I agree. We need some bets that we're just not going to lose the money we put on them.
Yeah.
Sauber v. Williams. Okay. How about a little discussion about a half hedge on this?
Okay. What's that?
It's probably too long to even look at it. But Albon is in a group that I think his biggest threat in this group is Guan Yu Zhou. Because I think Albon's better than his teammate Colapinto, especially with track position. And Jack Doohan, the rookie in the Alpine, we talked about it in qualifying. Is Jack going to jump in the car and all of a sudden be at Gasly's pace? No, it doesn't look like he is. He struggled all weekend. So what I'm saying here is I think Albon wins this group. If he doesn't, I think it's most likely that Zhou won the group, which means so we win the Sauber bet. But it's -250. I don't know if that's too short lines to throw on the card.
Super short. I didn't see anything else. We might be able to offset that by just taking something that's a little bit longer outside of our window too. Right? Okay. I had that written down too because, like you said, I thought that those 2 pair together really nicely for the exact same reason. It is short. So let's see, if we have, you're running with maybe almost $800, like 400 and 400 on both of those bets. Plus you've got something that's a little bit longer at +200. Maybe we do that.
Okay. I have something that's really long.
Okay. Well, really long. How long are we talking?
700. But let me point this out first.
Okay,
Max Verstappen to win the race +450. Now he's inherited 4th position. Yeah. I think it's very likely a McLaren wins. It's probably likely that it's a McLaren 1-2. The book suggests that when you look at combo podiums, dual forecast. But they've got Max at 450 to win. Race team match bets. The Red Bull over the McLaren is +700. How does Max finish?
0 sense at all.
Right. You're getting free +250 or 350 in there.
Yeah, I love that.
It's Max Verstappen in 4th. Also,
he could win. Okay, I don't know. Yeah,
I'm going to start reaching here, but all McLaren needs to do is really not even finish ahead of Sainz. They have a 21-point gap, 29 point.
Yeah,
they just need Anyways, they need to finish around Sainz, so they could let Max go win this race They
Yeah.
just need that point delta to Ferrari. That's all that matters this weekend.
And like, I could already see a card where it's like we put $450 on the other two, and then just like $100 on this. I don't know. I don't mind that. I just
other
love the
two
value that
being
you're getting from it.
The Albon group?
Yeah, the Albon group and the Sauber over Williams. Do you just like play it that way? I mean, like, so there's other things we need to talk about, obviously, but I don't. The fact that that is 300 points higher than just him to win the race is crazy to me. It's almost like you have to take advantage of that.
The line
He
delta,
could win.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could win.
He could easily
we,
win.
Yeah, we didn't think he was going to win in Brazil. We didn't think he was going to win in Qatar. Like, he won them both. So,
And he's starting in 4th. He could have the lead in the turn 1.
he could.
And again, like, their whole focus is defend Sainz.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of Max's Red Bull this weekend. I mean, it looks like he took a little bit of a slimmer wing than the McLaren's. He had a chance at pole. I mean, again, that slide at the end of
He probably deserved pole.
His Q3 lap. He probably did, right? But then, is he going to lose his tires? I don't know. I don't even want to. Every time I try to put my thumb on what Max is going to do,
isn't Max the only one on the grid that has extra tires? He was like the only one that he took his helmet off. He saved a set.
Oh yeah, he saved a set of softs just in case. Yeah. That's
Would you?
Just in case.
Would we consider? Okay, I'm gonna add this, but while I'm typing that, do you pair it with a combo podium fade of Max and Oscar at -110? Think about that. I think you know where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
RB
Okay. I don't mind. I don't mind that.
I think. Would you agree that if a McLaren is not on the podium, it's Oscar, not Lando?
Yeah.
And if Max does win, then you're saying, okay, maybe Carlos got Oscar.
I don't even know if we need to. We might be okay with just the other two, and just to take a flyer on Max. You know what I mean?
Is Zhou
Because
a real risk in the Albon
What's
group?
that?
Is Zhou a real risk in the Albon group?
I think he actually is.
I'm not sure I would have taken Albon if I hadn't already kind of thought about the Sauber match bet. I liked them potentially in combination, but just as a standalone, -250 with, I do think Zhou starts ahead of him.
I know. It's worth, like, everything Albon said this weekend was encouraging. Like, he doesn't. They were kind of lost in Qatar, but he seems like he feels pretty confident in the car. Obviously, it's too bad that they have to take the grid penalty. Do they have the race pace to get to Zhou? Like, I think certainly, right? Like, it's not like the Sauber's probably still the slowest car on overall race pace, or it's close to the Williams. We know Albon's a way better driver than Zhou is, so it's not like it's not a stretch for him to get 3 grid spots, right?
Mm-hmm.
-250 is really steep, though. Like, that is a really, really, really long or a short price to pay.
I'm thinking it might be. I know we're tight against the time this morning.
It's okay. Okay. Well, maybe we move off that a little bit. Can we? That group that has Lewis and Charles and Checo, is it like kind of disrespected? Checo's sitting there at +250, starting with P9.
It's interesting. The lines all have like top 6. Lewis and Charles are both super minus.
Yeah,
It is disrespectful.
Is that disrespectful? So again, you have to assume that Checo's going to get Bottas, probably Alonso, and then once you get into like the P7 range.
I don't think you can say that I have to assume that Checo gets anyone.
Well, okay, fair enough. This is a guy who, this could be his last race on the F1 grid. He did look, so he kind of got fucked because his track time got deleted in Q1, and then he went out and used an extra set and didn't have it for Q3. So like, he could have qualified the car better. At one point, he was in P3 in Q1. He has the pace in the car this weekend. he just ended up in P10 again. And so I think he's actually faster than his grid spot right now. I think he's going to get Bottas and Alonso. I think he just has the pace in the car. And then at that point, with these guys coming from as far back as they are, like I don't think the Red Bull has worse race pace than the Ferrari or the Mercedes this weekend. In Checo's hands, like maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. He's saying all the right things. Like he's not. Usually he's complaining about how disconnected he feels. The quotes that he was giving were that he felt good in the car, which I mean, again, he doesn't really say that very often. I just think he's out of position, can make up some spots, and then it's just so much to ask for Lewis in P16 to end up ahead of him.
I think Lewis is going to have a big day. I didn't really find any lines that I liked. Lewis has pace. George said Lewis is more comfortable this weekend, should have outqualified George. He got a baller in his car.
No, I know. I get that. But that doesn't mean that like he's got way more pace than the Red Bull does, ultimately, yet. This isn't Vegas. This is, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's a massive pace delta between the cars. And I get, it's Lewis's final drive for Mercedes. Do you want to be betting against it? It's such a long way to go.
Charles with a brand new engine. I'll be honest. I wanted
that's
to
fine. You just don't look at it.
I'm also with Checo's mentality. From the reporting, it sounds like the team wants to get rid of Checo, but he has the control in his contract, and he just basically it's up to him if he retires or not. But he has the right to drive again for Red Bull. That's the report, anyways. And then you hear him. His team goes, "Checo, your lap was deleted. We agree." And he goes, "Can you guys check it?" No, we think we know. We're not even going to challenge it. Just mentally, one small thing where he thinks the team, he's already upset that he wasted a tire. It's like Checo against the team right now. Does that make sense?
He could just not be good, and just Lewis gets by him. I mean, I guess. Do you like Lewis to finish in the top six at plus 162?
Let's look at the top sixes. I think, to your point, it's so much work to do, and because it's I went to the wrong thing. Because it's so much work to do, I actually think there's really good odds on other people that start in the top six. Yeah. Someone like a Pierre Gasly.
To finish in, to not lose is P5.
The three I wrote down were Hulk, Checo, and Gasly in terms of considering their top six finishing position. They're all plus money. It's interesting that they have Hulk at such a better line than Gasly, who starts behind. Hulk starts behind Gasly and out of the six.
Yeah, I think just people think that he has pace in the car. I
think he does.
He probably does. I mean, right? Like that.
But he says he doesn't have a pace delta over the Alpines. I loved Hulk.
No.
His mentality is it's going to come down to racing moments. There's going to be an overtake. Who does it better?
Yeah. I mean, I love the plus money bets for guys that are in the position that we need them in are golden bets, right? We love that.
Mm-hmm. Are you concerned that Gasly's engine blew up last week when we were on him? If we were going to look at him again?
No. He didn't, not last week, the week before, though.
Was it
last week?
No, it was last weekend.
No, last weekend he was the only one who won us anything. So, we trusted him last weekend. It was for him to get into the points, and we did. So I don't mind it. What is that sitting at?
275. Because they have Lewis at 162, they have Charles at 175. That, you can overtake here. Part of me is thinking that this is like a Lewis Brazil or a Max Brazil this year, like a finale drive with Mercedes. He has the pace. It was a Ballard, and he's just going to be coming through. But I'm also a fan, so take that for what you will. Okay. I see this in the chat. Yeah. Yuki is very good at this track. I didn't look at him to finish in the points. What's he looking at? 200. He starts 11th.
Well, Charles and I mean, this is assuming nobody comes out.
Right.
Charles and Lewis go in. Where's the route for him? I guess is the biggest concern. Like, does he get an Alonso? Does he get a Bottas?
You're looking at him to get
he
Bottas.
Probably gets dropped out. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't know about.
I don't know.
Bottas in the points had decent odds. 300.
Yeah. For the
But we
same
are
reason
on the
that,
Sauber versus the Alpine.
Yeah. Like, again, what are we assuming? Is it 18.5? I think it's like pretty well the break-even point for cars coming out. So you assume the 1.5 cars coming out. They come out from anywhere. You have 2 cars coming in. Probably. They have a lot of work to do, but they're probably coming in.
Do you think Charles comes in for sure?
I mean, I think
he's on a new engine, I think he's
components. Probably in.
He's
probably going to get in.
Ferrari minus 275 for both cars in the points.
It's not even really. It's not worth even entertaining.
No.
No, but we got like 15 minutes here. Is there anything like do we just like? I guess Lando just going to win at minus 150. Just take Lando to win. I know we were talking about Max winning the race.
You can't win both.
No, I know. I kind of want to find something else that's long, or sorry, that's short, that we can pair with that Sauber bet and then take the Max bet.
Yeah. I mean, back to the Albon group. Or the Oscar Max fade, minus 110. You didn't like that as much. This is a first lap, which is tough when you lose them. But Oscar, third or worse after lap 1?
Nah.
No.
There's no reason for me to.
No.
He could just take the lead. He has just as good a chance, I feel like, he's taking the lead.
Maybe. It's tough to do team orders into turn 1. But their whole thing is they just got to keep signs behind them.
Yeah.
Or behind one of them, really.
Yeah. So the other thing I looked at for Yuki was like, because he does perform well there, was just does he beat Lawson starting 1 grid spot ahead of him?
I didn't look at that. Interesting.
-2. It was minus 200.
He starts 1 behind.
No, he starts ahead of him.
Starts ahead. He does go well here.
He does go well here. I don't know. Like, is that maybe that's like actually?
Yeah.
And he's been ahead of him.
I think that has more justifying it than the Albon group for a shorter line.
Right. Grid position, and it's shorter.
And Yuki goes well here. Like, if there's one thing that one little piece of info before the race week started, it was like, hey, remember, Yuki likes Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. And normally we might not have looked at it, but it just happens to pair well with another shorter bet, and then I don't mind the Max bet, to be honest.
I think because of the line delta between him winning and Red Bull and it's Max and he's on the second row, how do you not take it for plus 700?
It's huge. Like, it could easily happen based on what we've seen. Not easily happen, but it could happen.
Yuki v. Lawson, minus 200. Is there any other teams that are more likely? No. Oscar over Lando, 275. Lando's just going to pull over again.
Imagine.
Tsunoda. Lawson.
The only other one I looked at that was really like Charles, like minus 250 no to get into the top 6. Like, that's just like a tremendous amount of work. I just don't know it. Because theoretically,
I don't want to bet against him.
No, fair enough.
No.
It's crazy. It would be crazy if he finishes the top 6, but he could.
It would be crazy, but I think him and Lewis are coming through the field.
Yeah, but even if they do, like, once they get there, whose spot is he taking in the top 6, I guess is my point.
Well, he's faster than Pierre, Alonso, Hulk. Bottas, like he's
Yeah,
gonna take all of these guys.
faster. Yeah, he's faster.
Yeah,
But like,
Pierre,
where?
George.
I guess. No.
I think George will put it together.
So that was minus 250. Yuki's minus 200. It's like, do you pick a guy to get 14 grid spots?
No, I think you pick the teammate against the teammate. We're going experience. We're going. He likes this circuit.
Yeah,
and they can
he
finish.
Does. Like
they can finish 15, 16.
I agree. Anything can happen. Okay, I like the bet. I mean, again, if he ends up losing to Lawson, then that's probably a sign that they need to make a decision about him. He's raced well the last couple of weekends.
I agree.
Yeah.
Are they fighting for a seat, you think? I know I just went on the spiel that Checo controls his destiny. But it sounds like Hadjar is coming up.
Yeah, I don't know what Red Bull's fucking. I don't know what they're doing with the drivers. It's insane what they're doing.
They're trying to force
I have no
Checo
idea.
retirement.
I guess so. There's no way though they don't have he doesn't have any control in this contract. That's why he had no position of leverage. Why would they ever give him any contractual leverage? It makes no sense.
Maybe it was like a performance thing that it turns into his control.
No, that's insane.
Well,
and what performancing is this guy hitting?
2-point finishes.
Yeah.
Anyone in the chat seeing anything? Tsunoda versus Lawson. What's the bet? Who just driver to finish ahead of the other, and it's minus 200. We haven't decided on the value yet. How much money?
Yeah. I kind of like this card though. Sauber over Williams in a race match bet minus 200. Yuki over Lawson just in a race match bet by themselves minus 200, and then Red Bull v McLaren another race match bet at plus 700. So it's just Max that. I mean, again, this one Max is gonna have to win. Like if something happens and Max finishes P3 and the McLarens finish 7th and 8th or whatever, like you got to keep that in mind too. Maybe Checo wins the race, but it's plus 700.
Yeah, imagine
crazy.
Checo gets it for us.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
I think we just got to take it. I just love the line delta. I think.
Is it 4-4-1?
Yeah,
or is
that's
one
what I'm
too
thinking.
much for Max?
I think it's 450, 451. Yeah.
Right, I did the math wrong. 450, 451.
Yeah. So we're winning, 1350, 350 profit would be nice if we just win these two minus 200 bets, which we have. You start with track position, and they're just match bets. So I don't mind that. I think that's right in our window. And then you just take a chance on Max, see what happens. Lights out in 20 minutes.
I love the plus
has
7.
An amazing drive. I don't know.
Max on the second row to just go win. When the guys he's competing with are just focused on each other. No one needs to win this race to win the constructor. Well, I guess Sainz does.
Well, Sainz does, yeah.
But McLaren won't let that happen. I like this.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
452.
Sainz, get aggressive, man. Do something crazy in your last race. Take somebody out.
I have Tsunoda to finish ahead of Lawson at minus 110. Oh, so you moved the line on us. Thank you. That's awesome.
This guy, yeah, great. He's been dumb.
No, I'm just kidding. That's great. Yeah. That's great to snipe that. At that. That's even better value.
He's like, I just put 50 grand on Tsunoda to finish ahead of Lawson.
Steven, you got anything else before we take off? Dude, it's been fun this year. I really enjoyed it. We're gonna be back 100% next year, and
we will.
I would wager we're going to be a little new and improved. Some tweaks. We're going to get Mike off a third-party video sharing so he can sound better for you guys.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some incremental improvement that's going to be dialed in for next year. I'm excited. Let's finish this year, though, off with some dollars in the bank at the very least.
Let's finish the year betting on the stakes and the V-carb.
Yeah, that's sick. I love that. This is real betting on F1. Is we look at the front of the field and we're like, let's just take Max to win, and everything else, let's jump on the dogs.
Well, the Max to win it's just so much value, and for $100, you got to take that. But I will say this: there's parity on this grid. We all think McLaren wins this race, but we've got 4 teams that can win races. I think it's sharp of us to all of a sudden look at that P6 to P10 because that's where we're going to find value. It's hard to pick between the top teams these days. When we started this, it was so easy.
There
Red
was an
Bull
order.
1-2, Ferrari 3-4, Mercedes 5-6. Like,
It's way different now.
all
I'm
right.
locking it in.
Yeah, lock it in. And we did it quick.
So,
Let us know in
we
the
could do
comments. We are thinking this show might be better as a 30-minute show instead of an hour show. So if you agree, let us know. Listen, we don't get a lot of comments. I read all the comments, people. So let us know. Let us know. That's going to do it. Abu Dhabi. It starts now. The season finale. I'm Chaps. That's Mike. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe. We will be back maybe in the off season. Definitely